Hey guys, it's Will here, and yeah, I'm not in a very good mood today, to be completely honest with you. I'm a bit miffed. So yeah, I was really hoping that today I was going to be uploading a video talking about the new genestealer cult codex. I was really excited for this book. I'm not even actually planning to play the army at the moment, but Sam is, so he was getting the codex. But I was just really excited to read it and see what they've done with it, because I've heard some of the leaks online. Obviously, I've got the Deathwatch Overkill models, and it just looked like a really fun opportunity. A codex that had something a bit different to it and was powerful while still being fun and balanced. Haven't read all of it yet, but it looked like this was going to be a really good spot-on release from GW. Anyway, we get to our friendly local gaming club last night for sort of to collect it at midnight when it comes out. Obviously, it was Friday night, but we get it midnight, so it's officially Saturday. And yeah, their GW order hadn't arrived. Not only that, their GW order, they'd been told, hadn't even been packed yet. Not just not dispatched, it hadn't even been packed. So yeah, that meant no genestealer codex for us. I was not amused, Sam was doubly not amused, and yeah, sorry, this was going to be a really nice video. It was going to be, hour and a half going through all the new rules, the formations, the detachment, the bonuses, possibly even throwing out some army list ideas, looking at the new psychic discipline. It was, yeah, it was going to be a really good video, and I know you guys enjoy my review videos. I see that because they get about twice as many views as anything else I put out. So, yeah, sorry about that. I'm hoping I can bring that to you guys as soon as the order turns up and Sam gets his codex, but the problem is we really had one night, sort of Friday night stroke Saturday morning to film it. Real life commitments. I have a full-time job, a wife and a kid, so I'm a busy man. I haven't necessarily got the time at another point to do it, so that could be up to a week delay just because they hadn't even packed the order yet. But I do want to give you guys something. The internet is a place of many things, and I have been able to see a lot of the rules already, so I can go through some of that and talk to you about what I think about the codex and generally why I'm really excited to see this. So the first thing is just the whole concept of it. You've got your genestealer cult army. Now, this is something that has existed in the fluff since way back in 2nd edition. You could play a genestealer cult army, and you had your pure strain genestealers, your different generations of hybrids, your patriarch, your magos, and the patriarch could take a limousine back in the day, apparently. I mean, I was yay high when this was all going on, but, was generally considered the good old days, and it's coming back. We've seen the sculpts from Deathwatch Overkill, we've seen the sculpts that went up for pre-order, we've seen the stuff that was leaked last week that's now up for pre-order, like the guys that are basically Cadians with genestealer heads. Got the new tank, or the new vehicle, the Goliath. We know for a fact they're going to be able to take Lehman Russes. And yeah, it's all really exciting just as a concept. Secondly, it gives GW a chance to give Tyranid players something without having to do another Tyranid codex, because for some reason they haven't actually been able to do a decent Tyranid codex in like 5 or 6 years. But, it's a bit different. It's kind of Tyranids, but they're kind of a bit more human. Maybe they'll actually do Tyranids a good codex. At least, something they can take as allies. Yeah, and then the leaks start coming through, and we see some really good rules here. So I want to pull out a few of my favourites, things that I thought, yeah, that's really good. I like that they're doing that. So the first one, Genestealer Pure Strains. They've stuck at the same points. I'd originally heard they were going down a point, but they're stuck at 14 points, which isn't terrible. It's the same as a Marine, but what they've gained is +1 attack and 5+ invuln save. So that's sort of designed to represent them dodging and ducking and diving, exactly how you'd imagine a genestealer. These guys aren't going to be easy to shoot at. They're going to duck out the way. And yeah, 5+ invuln save actually gives them a save that they're going to get to take. Back in 4th edition, they could take Extended Carapace, gave them a 4+ save, which actually was kind of worth it when you consider the average weapon in the game is a bolter, AP 5. So 4+ armour, yeah, that's going to save you half the time. 5+ armour, it's only a pip lower, but you're essentially never taking it because nobody's taking it. You know, your bolters will just cut through it, your Tower Pulse rifles will cut through it, all that stuff. But then 5+ invuln, you're going to get to take that save. You're going to get to take that save whatever you're hit with. You know, you drop a heavy flamer on these guys, they'll get a save. You drop a Lehman Russ Executioner with all its plasma templates on it, they'll still get the 5+ save. It's finally giving genestealers it just about enough survivability to have that chance of getting to combat. Add to the fact they've got stealth and there are ways with the formations to gain shrouded, so they're going to have decent cover save as well. And they've got to move through cover, so you know they're going to want to make the most of that. So finally, a potentially good unit. I'll come back to Cult Ambush and Return to the Shadows, which they also have, which is just going to make them even more deadly potentially. So yay, genestealers going good. Then we've got the Patriarch. Now I haven't seen the Patriarch's rules, but I'm assuming he's kind of on par with a Broodlord. But if you add him into a genestealer unit, so he joins the unit, they get Furious Charge. What's that? Genestealers that are now Strength 5 with 4 attacks on the charge, 5 attacks on the charge if they take Scything Talons at 3 points. They're, finally going to start to live up to their reputation as being one of the premier melee units in the whole game. I don't play Tyranids, but I used to, and I think genestealers are one of the coolest things there. And to finally make them live up to their fluff is really exciting, and something I hope they follow through to an eventual Tyranid codex that will probably be in the next edition now. So yeah, genestealers, like them. Then the other sort of rules, I'm not going to talk too much about the models because you can see them on GW's web store. Fate 212 has the leaks of what isn't officially out yet, although most of it is now at least up for pre-order. And yeah, they're gorgeous. They're GW. They do nice models. But sort of looking at some of the other rules, excuse me 1 second. Oh. So we have the this Decurion style formation, the new detachment, and it's going to be one that I think is going to be relatively easy to get. You know, to actually take this detachment and gives some potentially strong benefits. So your benefit, you've got your standard, your Warlord gets to reroll his Warlord trait. Everybody gets that these days. It's not great, but you know, it helps. Then you've got Infiltrate. Every infantry unit in the game that deploys as infantry, I think you can't take it if you're deploying in your transport. Every infantry unit in the formation gets Infiltrate. So all those cultists, all those hybrids, all gaining Infiltrate. And you think, well, that's all right for them, but what do genestealers get from that? Aha! Genestealers, because they already have Infiltrate, get Shrouded on the first turn instead. So turn 1, your genestealers are already going to be 18 inches away, and now they're going to have Shrouded. So that is +2 cover save, plus the 1 for the stealth. Stick them in 5+ cover, these guys now have a 2+ cover save, and if they get hit by a heavy flamer, well, they're getting their 5+. 5+, invuln save. So yeah, genestealers should actually have a good chance of making combat now. And all your other guys are going to be starting nice and close as well with the Infiltrate. Also, Infiltrate gives you the option to kind of out deploy your opponent, even if you're deploying first. If a large portion of your army is infiltrating, you can see where your opponent's deployed and then put your infiltrators down. So that's a nice little trick as well, and I think it fits very well with the way this army's meant to play. And then finally, any unit that uses the Cult Ambush special rule when they come on from ongoing reserves, which is what the Cult Ambush is all about, they gain D3 models, D6 models lost earlier in the battle. So this gives us a nice option where units can go into ongoing reserves, basically as a way of increasing the numbers. So this turn, okay, this unit's been mussed up, right, we're going to use Return to the Shadows, go into ongoing reserves. Next turn, hey, we're back, there's twice as many of us again, and yeah, it's going to, units recovering can be a real pain. I played a game against some Tyranids recently where he had the formation that allows gargoyles to come back on a 4+, so the whole unit's wiped out, they come back from reserves on a 4+, and they just kept coming back, and I was just being overwhelmed. Now, this isn't quite so powerful because you're only getting D6 models from a unit that's disappeared, but yeah, it's a nice little thing, gives your army a bit more survivability, which is, what you need on an army without power armour. So yeah, nice formation bonuses. Now, I've talked a bit here about Return to the Shadows and Cult Ambush. They're the two kind of special rules. Basically, if I think the majority of the infantry models in the codex have this. So if a unit is on the board and it is not within 6 inches of the enemy, or of any enemy unit, it can go into ongoing reserves. Essentially, they just sneak into the shadows and disappear. And that on itself wouldn't be too great because ongoing reserves, you've got to come back by whatever your normal means of coming on from reserve is, which is normally walking on at the baseline, so you're a bit out of the fight. But these guys all have Cult Ambush as well. Essentially, when they come back from ongoing reserves, and it does specify ongoing, you can't start them off the board and then have them sneak in by Cult Ambush, if I'm reading this correctly. You roll a d6. On a 1, they come back from the baseline. Not great, but, it's only a 1 in 6 chance, so, it's fine. On a 2, they get what is essentially outflank. They don't call it outflank, but it's worded the same way, so that's all right. On a 3, they come back by... it's not deep strike, but they appear like deep strike, but they don't scatter. So essentially they gain perfect deep strike, and they just have to be at least 9 inches away from the opponent, or at least 6 inches away if they can't be seen by any enemy unit. So that's quite cool. Gets them back, gets them nice and close. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. They just come back not within 6 inches of an opponent. So again, kind of handy. You can see here the higher you roll, the better your result's going to be. On a 5, they get the same as number 4, so they come on within 6 inches, and they can have an extra go of shooting, so they can shoot in the movement phase as they deploy, and then again in the shooting phase. If they don't have any ranged weapons, they can take an extra run in the movement phase as well as the run in the shooting phase, so they're going to make them nice and mobile. And then on 6 is the big one. They come on within 6 inches and can charge the turn they arrive. So, yeah, genestealers. They have a 1 in 6 chance of charging the turn they arrive, have a 5-up invuln save, +1 strength on the charge, because they've got a Broodlord with them, +1 attack, and are still genestealers with their initiative 6, weapon skill 6. If you can pull this off, there are obviously things you have to do to make it work. It's only a 1 in 6 chance of getting this, but you've got enough units in the army disappearing and reappearing. This is going to happen from time to time. It's not a well out there option. It's not like rolling a double 6. It's just 1 6. There is a good chance. So yeah, I'm thinking this codex is going to be very fun for an opponent who likes to kind of play mind games with their opponent, and if you're pulling units around, they're on the far left of the board, they go into ongoing reserves, pop up on the right. Yeah, it's just very, very fun sort of rule that could potentially be quite strong as well. Now, we'll have to see how this works on the table. It's certainly not the pure power of units that you get from something like Eldar jet bikes, or the pure resilience of Necrons, but I think there's some ways this can be made into some really strong tactics. Then we'll talk about the formation. So going back, I've talked about the bonuses already, but what do you actually have to take? From what I have seen, I'm doing this from memory because the picture of the formation is still on my phone, which is also what I'm recording this on, so I can't look at both of them simultaneously. But basically, you've got I think it's 3 HQ options or command options. Basically, any of the characters, one of them can be taken. So that's your your Primus, your Patriarch, your Magos, or the new Icon Ward, who's basically the banner bearer guy. Any of those can be taken as a command choice on their own, so nice, cheap command, easy command choice. Alternatively, you can have a formation that gives you all the command models together, at least certainly all the ones out of the Overkill box set. I don't know what many of the benefits for these are, so I'm really looking at what you get and what you can include in the army to get the overall formation bonus for the detachment. But I imagine, obviously, these formations are going to give you certain extra bonuses that will make them worth taking. Final one is called the First Curse, I believe it is, and this represents the original brood of genestealers that the Patriarch was from. So before he was a Patriarch, these were his buddies, and now he's still hanging out with them. So you get 20 genestealers. I think it's either one unit or it's actually 20 genestealers, I'm not sure. But then you get your Patriarch as well, and they get some bonus that off the top of my head I can't remember, but it's a worthwhile bonus on top of obviously being 20 genestealers and a Patriarch, which is not bad in itself, is it? Then you got two kind of core formations. One of them, the Brood Cycle, gives you a good mix of units. It's like 2 units of Acolytes, 3 of Neophytes, a unit of Pure Strain. It's kind of a mix and match representing like the bulk core of an underground genestealer cult. Exactly what you'd expect. Aberrants are optional in that, which I know Sam is quite pleased about because he's not a fan of the aberrant model and doesn't really want to run them. But, depending on what rules they get, they might be really good, you don't know. Your other core choice I thought was quite exciting. It's Neophyte Cavalcade. Essentially, this represents neophytes, so 3rd and 4th generation genestealers or genestealer hybrids who have infiltrated the local PDF Guard, Planetary Defence Force. So you get 2 units of neophytes who have to take chimeras. You also get a Leman Russ, and you can take a couple of units of Sentinels as well if you want. So you now have Leman Russes in core choice. I'm not even sure that Guard get that. That's now I don't know what version it is yet. If it's the standard one, it's a bit it's not the best version of Leman Russ because the ordnance weapon cancels out the fire from the other weapons, so it's not great, but it's still an Armour 14 Russ. If you can take the variants, then this is very strong because you've got a really good tank there in the Leman Russ, and people aren't going to expect it. They have to deal with Tyranid Genestealers and Leman Russes in the same army. The Chimeras get to outflank, if I remember rightly, as well. So, outflanking Chimeras, multi-lasers into your side armour, take that. Beyond that, you've got obviously all your auxiliaries. My memory's starting to run out on what these are, but there's a few that are the nice sort of simple, just take this unit and it's auxiliary choice. Aberrants can be that, genestealers can be that. I think Sentinels can, but don't quote me on that, I might be wrong. But yeah, there's little ways to get your extra units in to have an easy auxiliary choice, and then there's some formations that kind of make the use of it. There's one that's a bunch of neophytes and a Magos. I'm guessing that gives the Magos some boost to his psychic potential. A nice sort of chart here. There aren't that many choices, but I think there's enough, and they're flexible enough that you'll see a variety of builds. It won't be everyone running the same build of Genestealer army. And and I think the Goliath, the new vehicle, is a dedicated transport or can be taken as an auxiliary choice if it's the rock grinder variant with a big bulldozer blade on the front. So yeah, final things I want to touch on, the new psychic discipline. Now I think the models that are psychic, so that would be the Broodlord, or sorry, not Broodlord, the Patriarch and the Magos, they get access to biomancy, as you'd expect, and telepathy, again, as you'd expect, but there's a new Broodmind psychic discipline. From what I saw, it looked pretty good. There seems to be a power that can give you +1 strength to the unit. So yeah, stick that on genestealers as if they didn't need, if they needed any more buffs. There's I think the Primaris is just a psychic shooting attack, which is nice. But then the number 6 power I thought was such a cool idea. It's a psychic summoning, or telepathic summoning, and it's a summoning power that can bring in more hybrids or genestealers. So yeah, that's really cool. It's not, you're not summoning them from the warp, you're summoning them from their hidden lairs around the battlefield. So you're calling to them telepathically, and yeah, you know, that's just adds to the shenanigans that this list can do with units appearing in all kinds of places. So it could be a potentially fun discipline, but I think a lot of people will just go with telepathy because Psychic Shriek, invisibility, two of the best powers in the game. One of them's telepathy and the other is the Primaris for telepathy. So yeah, I expect to see telepathy still being a big thing in this codex. Anyway, that's about it. If you've already got your hands on the codex, correct me on anything I'm wrong on. Also, nice one. I hope you enjoy it. Think about us who are still waiting for it because our orders got cocked up. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.